So as far as the Patriot movement, and that's what LWN is, we are part of many patriots out there searching for the truth and delivering the news like it should be delivered. Miles Franklin Precious Metals Investments. Reach out to LW at lwnreloaded@gmail.com. This week's special is the 2023 Silver Philharmonics. While supplies last, only $3.29 over spot. If you guys would like any help with your 401k, pension funds, retirement funds, you'd like to flip those over to a self-directed precious metals IRA, I would love the opportunity to earn your business. Please reach out to me at lwnreloaded@gmail.com. Congratulations to the January coin giveaway winners. What a wonderful gift you guys received. If you would like to join us in February for the end of the month coin giveaway, you can do that simply by qualifying by purchasing a coffee, buy me a coffee, anytime in the month of February. Or if you're over there on Facebook, if you guys would like to purchase some stars and drop those in chat, that also qualifies you for the month of February coin giveaway. And we'll be doing that right around the 27th or the 28th of February. Don't miss out. Come join us over here at LWN for the monthly coin giveaway. All right, welcome back, America. Welcome back to LWN. Listen, we hit a lot of hard topics here each and every night, and I know some of it sometimes gets very overwhelming, and we just kind of throw our hands up and go, what the heck are we going to do? Well, tonight I have a special show. It's a little bit different. It's going to be exciting. I've been talking with this individual on and off. Well, since we met in Missouri, we really haven't had an opportunity to collaborate yet, just because of schedules and just all the busy life stuff. But we finally got a hold of each other and said, hey, here's some ideas for some topics and some shows that we want to do. So tonight we're going to cover sports. We're going to talk about a lot of different things in sports tonight, but I think it's really important that we kind of break the monotony up and talk about some things that maybe we enjoy or used to enjoy. That's probably my point tonight. The things that we used to enjoy, maybe some people still do, but I kind of walked away from sports years ago. And so we're going to cover some of that tonight. And my special guest is Kari Donovan. She is a freelance journalist. She's written from sports topics that she's covered all the way up to the southern border. She has covered things in the Gateway Pundit. She's covered candidates, you name it. She's pretty much wrote about it. So with that being said, I would like to give Kari a warm LWN welcome to the show tonight. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks so much for having me tonight. I am excited to talk to you because, well, I had fun meeting you in Missouri. That was in, I think, August.
Yeah, it was hot August.
Right?
We were there at the Truth Summit, and my very first time ever actually out doing any of that stuff, and it was very eye-opening to me. And Cam Cam introduced me to you. He came over and grabbed me and said, "Hey, you got to go meet Kari Donovan from the Gateway Pundit." And so went over, sat down, had a conversation with you. Kind of hit it off right away, and we've been in communication, like I said, back and forth for quite a while. We just haven't had an opportunity to really collaborate. So I'm excited for this conversation too, because you brought up a couple of very valid points in our conversations. And I think we've got a couple of shows ahead of us here where we're gonna dive into some of the stuff that she really is passionate about. The southern border is one of them. But tonight we decided we wanted to talk about sports. And like I said at the very beginning, I walked away from sports quite a while ago, and I think over the years, with a lot of stuff that's happening and happened in sports, I think a lot of people have really walked away or given up or not watching as much as they used to. What do you think about that, Kari?
Oh, yeah. And so I remember a long time ago when I started to talk about boycotting the NFL and the NBA for their advancement in wokeness, the leftist agenda, right? And so at the time, I didn't consider the impact it would have on people to walk away from their sports because I assumed, hey, when we have a boycott of something, they're going to get the message, they're going to stop it. I never thought about the destruction it would have on sports in general. And so that's something that I've focused some of my writing on. I'm over at patriotsportsnow.com. So I met these guys online and I said, hey, you guys, can I park some of my IndyCar articles at your site? They're mostly talking about football. These guys were so nice to me. They said, sure, go ahead. You can park your racing articles over here. So last year was my first year to cover the Indy 500 for the media. But I've gone to the race since I was a little girl. So I've gone probably 30 times, 40 times. I don't know how many. I'm not telling you how old I am. I've been going to the track since I was born. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's in my blood. And I thought this is a great outlet for me. I want to talk about America First sports because I don't want any, and if any car fans are out there, they're going to know what I'm talking about. I don't want any Formula One. I don't want any European supremacy in my IndyCar. It's America First, right? And so when I started writing about IndyCar, from the point of view of America First, I had a bunch of NASCAR guys contact me. I was posting them up at Getter last year at the race time. And they said, do NASCAR, do NASCAR. And I said, well, I can talk a little bit about NASCAR, and I will, but I don't, I got to get to some races. But from there, then I started to realize, you know what? We are suffering in a crisis. It's a crisis in sports where our mostly men, but men and women are missing their sports, and it's taking a toll on our happiness. And also it's unfair, it's unjust what has happened in our sports because they never cared about losing us as sports fans, did they just
No.
kept building on it and then going woke and getting money probably from foreign influences. And I started to realize about a year ago how important sports really is to our common culture, to America First. If there are sports, we want to grab them back. Well, so once I got over here to patriotsportsnow.com and I told them my whole thing, and I'm like, they're going to think I'm crazy. They were like, no, we love it. We're not going to talk too much about politics, but we want to get away from the politics of it, meaning the leftist politics. And then from there, I started to build a network. There are so many people who want their sports back. And so, you know what I think? It's just like recapture the flag. Like I have this little meme of a flag, and it's not capture the flag, it's recapture the flag. It's our sports. We want them back. And I'm a little bit more aggressive about it than most people. I say, let's go onto their side of the playing field and take them back. There are sports, right? So for IndyCar, racing is an American sport. We are the greatest racers on the planet.
Mhm.
There's no reason why anybody needs to go anywhere else. But the Europeans, they can look at us and wish to be us. We're the greatest racers ever. So if you think about it, right? Baseball, Americana, apple pie, we have to have that back. Basketball, football, same thing. And my son played football, so I'm also the mom of a football player. So I know what that did for him to build his character, that relationship with his coach, all the things, also the outlet that he had, right? All of those things. There's a million reasons why. We can talk about all of them. But I'm here to say, and I'm glad that you like this message. Let's go get our sports back. Okay. Let's go get them all back. They're ours. And
Well, we talk about getting our country back, and I think that's a piece of our country. You're spot on. And when you brought this idea to me about, hey, let's talk about sports, because the woke culture has captured our sports, taken our sports from us. I love football. I played at a high level, and I looked at going on to college and playing football. It's probably um a small regret in my life not chasing that dream. I also had scholarships and coaches looking at me in basketball too. I played baseball. I wasn't the best at baseball. Baseball wasn't like my thing. But I spent my entire childhood and high school career playing sports. If you think about it, sports is so important to our culture. And when you brought this idea to me, I'm like, wow, I never thought about this. I'm always talking about the Constitution. I'm always talking about taking the country back. I'm always talking about getting involved at your local level, your school boards and your county commissioners, and know your state representatives and vet your congressmen and women. We get so lost in this fight that maybe we do forget about some of the things that we used to enjoy, some of the things that used to connect us as children to our fathers or to our mothers.
yes,
You have fathers who played baseball or football, and they went off to college and played, and so you have that connection as a child to your dad as you're playing football, or your mother used to play softball or volleyball, and now you're playing softball or volleyball, and so you have that connection to your mother. I mean, there's so much that we gave up, and I contribute some of this, Kari, to the COVID-19. When that hit our shores, I remember in 2020, I remember there were seniors playing football and stuff that lost their senior year in high school. Think about how much we've honestly lost in the last 2 years. There were senior classes that couldn't even graduate and have a real ceremony. I remember basketball seasons were canceled, volleyball seasons were canceled, track seasons were canceled. Everything was canceled because of a sickness. And then on top of that, compounding that was the woke culture. And I remember when I first seen the first athlete take a knee during the national anthem. That's when I signed off. That's when I said, you know what? If this is what you're going to do, if you're going to disrespect the American flag, then I will no longer support you. And ever since that, I really haven't supported any sports out there. And it just continued to get worse and worse. And then they wanted to bring in the and I'll call it for what it is, the black anthem. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. They started playing the black anthem at sports events. And so this cancel culture, this woke culture completely has consumed sports, and we don't even talk about it. So thank you so much for bringing this to the LWN family tonight and this great conversation.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have it with you and with your audience. And I know that I can hear in your voice the frustration and what really manipulating our sports has done is taken away something from men, mostly men and women too. But listen, it is mostly men. And it took away an opportunity for expression, sports, friendship, patriotism, family time, all of these things is taken it away from men in this country. And so I want men back and I want sports back. And part of the reason why, I was a big race fan, I've been a sort of a, semi football fan, but not like you guys. So I understand though, um, some of the feedback that you get back from the sport, right? From watching it, from participating and watching, and from playing as players, like you said, the kids that had to suffer through all of those all of the COVID stuff, the shutdowns in the schools, because that is one of the ways to absolutely destroy a young man's life. And I'm here to say we need to say no more. Stop it with the woke culture. And there's enough of us now. I think in the beginning, it wasn't clear, like everyone's going to kind of, oh, we're going to put up with it. We're going to put up with it. We're going to put up with it. Until they now realize it has completely taken over. I remember when football players started wearing pink socks, and I had a fit about that. And by the way, I wouldn't let my son wear pink socks in the month of October. And I don't care who knows about it. I don't care who scoffs at me. But at the time, I had already been fighting leftists for many decades. And I said, I'm not afraid of them. But I think what happens is people just sort of assumed, oh, it's okay that they're talking about Obamacare right now, or whatever policies, political policies they brought into the announcement booth. And it annoyed the heck out of me because I'm very sensitive to it. But now people realize, oh, wait a minute, we lost everything, because you can't watch a sport with any peace in your heart when they're bringing up all of this politics that are, against your patriotism, your masculinity, all of those things. So I'm so glad that you will, I'm sorry about that. I'm so glad that you will have this conversation with me.
Oh, absolutely. And, I didn't realize how frustrated I was until we started the show today, because, Noah is 10 years old. He's starting to really get into sports. It's funny that we have this conversation today, because it wasn't even just yesterday, and the day before yesterday, that he was naming off all these players. He's into basketball and football, so NBA and the NFL. He's naming off all these players and how great they are, and this is a good quarterback, and this guy here is a good basketball player. I've lost that connection with my son because I just don't care anymore about sports. I gave it up. If we hadn't lost sports, then I'd have such a huge connection with Noah right now, because I used to keep up with all that stuff too. Even as an adult, I could tell you who the best quarterback of the league was. I could tell you who the best team was and what the record was. I could tell you the best running back in the NFL. I could tell you the best receiver in the NFL. When it come to basketball, I quit watching basketball after Michael Jordan retired, to be honest with you. I'm a Michael Jordan fan. I thought Kobe Bryant was great, but not even close to Michael Jordan. I just bought Noah a new video game from his Nintendo this weekend, 2K23, NBA basketball on his Nintendo Game Boy or whatever the heck it is. I bought it because I could play Michael Jordan, and of course, then you talk about LeBron James, and you talk about how woke he is and how he's made these comments in the last year or two. I can't stand the guy. I'm sorry. I never thought he was as good as Jordan, my personal opinion. But what really caused the disdain for LeBron James for me personally was his nonsense political stance that he was constantly putting out. And, it used to be that athletes would stay out of the political realm because of the influence that they do have over not just children, but adults as well. They didn't want to cause any problems for their career, but he seems to be very brave to go out there and say the things that he said in the public eye. And I think it really has hurt his reputation. I think it's hurt viewership too. If I'm not mistaken, and we're talking about NBA here, they've actually had some of the lowest numbers for last June for the NBA finals that they've ever had. And a lot of it has to do with the woke culture. A lot of it has to do with the cancel culture. People are just tuning out. They're no longer supporting these people because of them taking knees during the national anthem, the things that they've said about the sickness and going out and taking vaccines and all kinds of things that they put out there, has really just destroyed sports as we know it. And my last comment here before I turn it back to you, Kari, is I just go back to my childhood. I was just talking the other day to a friend of mine, and I was talking about how when I was Noah's age or even younger, how we used to play in the summertime until the street lights come on. And I used to get in trouble because the street light would come on and be dark, and I'd still be playing baseball, or I'd still be playing football, or I'd still be playing kickball. We lived on Canyon Hill in Caldwell, Idaho, and the neighbor that was right next to us had this big, long yard, and the street light was right under it. And I think a lot of people can relate to what America used to be. And, we used to be out there playing with every kid in the neighborhood. It didn't matter what your religious background was. It didn't matter what your skin color was. It was America. And I feel since we started this conversation that we've lost that. It's just not the same.
See, look, oh my gosh. And these emotions that you're bringing up are, they're unsettling, but this is good, I think, because America's hurting in pain, and we have the power to do something about it. But yes, sweet America, right? Like you're saying, we used to play until the streetlights would come on. The sweet innocence of being able to run around a neighborhood and play games like that and get exercise and fellowship with your neighbors and all of the things that were America has been taken from us because of a number of political moves, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to, and what I want to say is we can go and take some of it back. So imagine Kobe Bryant, instead of clearing the house out of all of the people who would have stand up and booed at him and booed and screamed and yelled, because now I'm from Detroit area. I grew up watching hockey players. I'm in the South now. I've been here for a while, but listen, I came from right over there near the Canadian border, and they were hardcore about their hockey. And you want to see some guys slammed into the wall, screaming and yelling, things getting thrown on the ice, all kinds of stuff, right? Well, that's what they are going to have to face if we all go back and start demanding, we want America back. We're not going to take it anymore. The reason why they're getting away with it is because they've cleaned the house out of all of us who are the hardcore sports fans. And to hear that story, though, about your son, we cannot let it stand that they've driven this wedge between our men. There's nothing wrong with sharing sports with your son and bonding with your son over sports. We need that back. And so we have to go and get it and reclaim it and say it's ours. We're taking it back. So that's what I've been doing with my IndyCar coverage, because that's what I shared with my dad. I went to the tracks, like I said, since I was little, right? I'm telling you something. Right now, IndyCar is pretty pristine as far as the left being in IndyCar. And if that's why I'm doing this, is because I don't want the left to get into my IndyCar. I will not be happy. It will be so unsettled. I'll be miserable, right? And that's why I'm doing this. And so I think that what we need to do, you need, like you're doing the show now, anybody else who's listening, we need to start speaking up about it and saying, we want our sports back. So if you blog or you talk on the phone, whatever you're doing, if it's important to you, then start talking about this exact topic, make it your own, about your own sport, and demand it back. And if we all did that, maybe we'll get them to stop taking foreign money. I mean, come on, Kobe Bryant, what do you think? Who's paying him to act like that? He's not getting it from ticket sales or jerseys.
It's right? LeBron James. Kobe Bryant's no longer with us.
I'm sorry. See, I don't see my sport
okay.
is
it's okay. Kobe Bryant was a great player.
LeBron James. I write about Kobe LeBron James. I should know that.
Kobe Bryant, I think he lost his life with his daughter in a helicopter crash. But
basketball fans, I'm so sorry. Don't be mad at me.
No, you just got to worry about the LA fans, right?
Yeah, no, wait, I'm sorry.
The LA fans for the Lakers. But LeBron James, here's something else that's frustrating. I think you and I need to do a monthly show and just talk about sports in general, because you have really hit a nerve with me where there's so much that I want to talk about, but I don't have enough time within an hour to do that. I mean,
right.
I used to play in the neighborhood, and we used to fight over who wanted to be Joe Montana's quarterback and who was going to be Jerry Rice. You know, those legends were true heroes for me.
Yeah. I remember Joe Montana. Yeah.
And now you have athletes like LeBron James who can't stay on one team. I get so frustrated about sports because they team hop about who pays them the most money and what is their chance on winning a championship. And I can't stand that, because back in the day, with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan and so many greats in NBA, and then you had Joe Montana, and you had Dan Marino for the Miami Dolphins. He had a chance at one championship, and he ended up playing for the Dolphins for many years, and a lot of people said, well, why didn't he move to a different team so he had a chance at winning a championship? Those to me were real heroes, because they stayed with their team till the end instead of hopping around for more money or hopping around to try to gain a championship and create these dream teams all the time with all these great players, because one team has more money than the other team and can buy all these players. Then you go into baseball and talk about the Yankees, and I know that'll piss a lot of people off, because the Yankees have a lot of money and they bought a lot of players and they won a lot of championships. Sports just don't seem to be what they used to be. Everything's changed, and then the cancel culture, the wokeness has just really muddied the water so much that a lot of people just don't watch anymore. Of course, there's still the diehards I have here in chat that are Buffalo Bills fans. They'll never quit watching. But for a lot of us, we just gave up on them. And I think your mission to take our sports back is a valiant and worthwhile cause for us to reach out to these athletes and say, we want our sports back, but we want you to act accordingly and not buy into all this woke culture and cancel culture and all this nonsense. We want you to be you, but we want you to be American, and right. Instead of buying into all this communist BS and be bought and paid for, like you said, from outside sources and outside money outside of this country. Totally agree.
Absolutely. And that's what they're doing. And if you think about it, what better way to emasculate our awesome American men, but to go into the sports arena where they were learning how to be heroes and valiant warriors and be brave and courageous and all of those things, and completely just turn it upside down and make it all a bunch of nonsense. Yeah. So what better way to destroy our American men than to go in? Of course it was done on purpose. I think, hey, am I a conspiracy theorist? I absolutely am. I believe that the communists had a plan. I've been talking about it since 1991, and I think sports is part of it. Now, and I'm honest about it. When I said, hey, let's boycott the NFL and the NBA a long time ago, I thought there's no way in the world we're ever going to get people to stop watching sports. And I never thought it through. I just never thought about the impact it would have in general, the apathy it would build in men to not have their sports. So as just someone who admires men and wants men back and has 2 sons, right? I want that back, because it's an important part of building that character.
I think it's very important for character, and we're going to shift gears here in a minute and hit more on the IndyCar and one of my favorites, NASCAR. But I also want to make a comment about not just men's sports, but women's sports too. We talk about the cancel culture, we talk about the wokeness, but then, and I don't want to get too far sidestep here, because transgenderism is a whole nother show in itself about sports. But then you start talking about the transgender men who are entering into female sports, crushing records, and it's disgusting in my opinion. And I feel horrible for the young ladies out there and the women who have worked their butts off as hard as any man ever could or would to dominate their sports and to really catapult their careers collegiately and then professionally as well. And then here you have the wokeness and the transgender ideology coming in and completely destroying women's sports. So now
it's destroying it, right? It's destroying the sports completely.
They're destroying every sport there is. They're doing it with cancel culture, wokeism, and transgenderism, to where as Americans, we don't have sports anymore. A lot of us just give up on it. We won't watch it anymore. And you're right. We need to take it back.
We need to take it back. So we're going to take it back. And I have plans and I'm already doing it. I'm taking IndyCar back. And so when I go and I write about IndyCar, it's from the point of view of how America is the greatest. And anytime any driver's talking about any leftist stuff, which by the way, doesn't happen in IndyCar. And I'll tell you, it doesn't. It happens a little bit in NASCAR, and this isn't to try to beat up on NASCAR because I want NASCAR to change, and I know a lot of fans do too. But let's hold IndyCar out as a little bit of the last. They're the last beacon, I think, in sports, and that's why I decided I'm going to dive in and I'm going to start writing about this. And I'm going to tell people the reason why I'm doing it is America first, America first. If you go in my getter in Twitter at Sayrosa1776 and you put in IndyCar, you'll probably find me talking about America first. Now, I'm not trying to evangelize y'all NASCAR or Formula One, but I'm just going to say IndyCar. Okay, it's the heart of America. It's all this stuff, right? So, but my agenda is that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to blow everything up as big as I can. That's America first. And I really enjoyed it last year when I had an opportunity. Roger Penske, who has won a Medal of Freedom, by the way, has really, he owns IndyCar and he has really expanded it. Now I'm keeping my eye out for, don't bring any of that leftist stuff over here into this IndyCar. You can expand it all you want, but don't get going over here into this woke culture, right? And they try every once in a while, but he had set up that we get to interview the drivers, and the drivers sit there and rap with us, just like sitting at a table and talking to us about all kinds of stuff. And there are foreign drivers, but I'll tell you something, they love America. They love American racing. They love coming to the Indy 500 and racing on that track. They probably love NASCAR too, but we weren't there talking about NASCAR. But the idea is it's different. It's different here in America because we have different principles. We have different character, right? We have a different attitude towards sports. And to hear them talk about with pride, don't change American racing. You know why? Because America leads. We lead in sportsmanship and in so many great things. So that's why I chose IndyCar. It's also because that's what I know, right? But I think it's the last beacon. And so I want people to see what I'm doing, hopefully, and do it on their own, in their own favorite sport.
So what's the best part about IndyCar racing? Because I know you don't beat up on all the other, but that's your favorite thing. So if you have listeners tonight that maybe have never watched IndyCar, maybe they've only seen it once or twice. Maybe there are families out there that watch IndyCar all the time. What's your favorite part about IndyCar?
So, well, it reminds me of my childhood. So that's the biggest thing. But what I keep going back for is I love speed. I love to see the cars. To me, the cars are art. They're so beautiful.
So IndyCar is like Formula One, correct?
Yes. So they're both open wheel. But the cars are slightly different, and IndyCar is faster than Formula One.
Like speed.
Right. And I just, I'm a speed freak that way. Not like,
what's top speed in IndyCar?
235.
How much?
235.
235. I figured it's going to be about 120 to 150. Now, 235 mile an hour, when you're about an inch and a half off the ground. I've been up to top speed about 130 probably is the fastest I've ever been in my BMW. I sit probably 3 or 4 inches off the ground, and let me tell you, at 130 miles an hour, things are just going by so fast. So now multiply that by 2, and that's how fast an IndyCar goes. I mean, if a driver blinks his eye in an IndyCar going 235 mile an hour, in that blink of an eye, he probably just covered about 1,200 steps easy.
Right.
Like that.
So these are athletes. These dudes are athletic, and they are smart, and they are, they're performers. So I love watching that. I love trying to bring in some of the personalities. But I love speed. But the thing I love about the Indy 500 is it's the traditional running of the Indianapolis 500. And when you go to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you will hear people refer back to the tradition. It's very Americana. Everyone there, whether it be their first race or their 50th race, will talk about the tradition, and the entire place is seeping with this American history. America, 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 right? And so when you go there, I am trying to write some articles over at Patriot Sports now, as if I'm writing to someone saying, it's your first race. Here's something that happens in the snake pit. Here's the history of racing from USAC, so that they can feel like I'm diving into this sport right now. I don't know anything about it, but when I go there to a race, and of course there's a series. The series starts in March and it will go all the way to September. The Indy 500 is May, Memorial Day weekend, and that's really the crown jewel, is the Indy 500. It is the largest sporting arena in the world. It's the largest live sports audience in the world. Did you know that? The
I
Indy
did
500.
not know that. I did not
Yeah.
know that. You're teaching me something new.
Yeah. And so it's just like so Americana that I don't know anybody whoever said, I just never liked anything about the Indy 500. Like there's
I
something
can honestly say I've never watched an Indy 500. Never.
well, you're gonna have to watch one now,
I'm
because when
going
I
to.
come back, we're gonna have to. I'll watch some basketball and get the names right for so I can talk to you intelligently. If you'll watch an IndyCar race, but NASCAR is sort of the same thing. It's this family. You can take your family, and there's places for picnics. If you get into that kind of stuff, you can take your kids, and they usually like racing as long as you get them the headphones. They don't like the sound too much. But as they get older, it's that sound is something that I love. It's almost like an addiction. Like, oh,
And
I heard it. I heard an
the
IndyCar.
smell, the smells are amazing.
Yeah, and so I hope that there might be somebody out there listening who goes, "That's it. That's it. I'm going to an Indy 500 or an IndyCar race," because I'll write about the whole series over there at Patriot Sports Now. Those guys are so nice to me. Let me write my articles.
Well, this is the thing that people may not realize about that type of racing. Some people say, "Oh, I don't want to watch racing. They just go in a circle all day long." Well, here's something that is so important to racing. One, you got to have a good driver. They got to be in excellent physical condition, because the conditions behind any car, whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, um, the temperatures are extreme. The stress is extreme. The physical demand is extreme. And you got to know how to drive that car. You got to know how to conserve fuel and tires. It takes a whole team. It takes a pit crew to not make mistakes when you come in for a pit stop. Make sure that the car gets completely gassed up, that the tires get put on there with all the lug nuts. I mean, that's the great thing that drew me into NASCAR. It wasn't so much just the driver. It was watching the teams. It was watching the pit crews as they come in. It was watching a car pull in the wrong way and cut another driver off, and how pissed off they would get. It would be sometimes the drama. The drama in racing is just as good as the drama in boxing, in my opinion, or the drama in football, the last 2 minutes of the game and you're down by 3. There's a lot of drama in racing, and there's a lot of history, family history. Racing is a whole nother world. And I've been to the track. I've gone to drag racing. That's cool. The smell of burning rubber and high octane fuel mixed with beer.
Right.
I mean, you're never going to get another experience like that. And then I've been to oval track racing and dirt track racing. So I've been to motocross. Sports is part of America, and we've lost that.
And while you're saying that, while you're talking and listening to you, I'm remembering way back when I was a little kid, watching with my dad the wide world of sports.
Yes.
I was so little, but I remember that song, and I remember getting excited, although I never had any idea what was coming on after that song, because I think it was all sports, right?
Yeah.
But I remember sitting with my dad on the couch. Of course, he was telling me to be quiet all the time, because I was always like, "What's happening? What's that? What's going on?" And he was enjoying his sports. But yeah, it is America, and we all have some. I bet you all of us have some great memory of either a high school sport or a professional sport, participating in a sport, watching a sport, talking to somebody about what sport they love. And this is our common culture, and something that binds us together, and we need it back. So we're going to take it back. I'm taking IndyCar back, y'all. I'm going to do it. You're going to see. You're going to say, Oh, that's Carrie. They're saying something about America first. So that's my dream, right? I want to make it into the big times and tell them, you all don't forget America. Indianapolis 500 is in the United States of America. It's America first. Um, but yeah, I love the idea of going to NASCAR, and I'm in North Carolina, so I should be going to NASCAR races as well. The truth is, I don't know much about it. It's hard when you don't know anything at all about a sport, other than I know cars and
NASCAR,
races.
NASCAR's like football to me. It's been ruined over the years. They put in so many restrictions. They got restrictor plates now and so many different rules. It's kind of
Mhm.
like football. You're not allowed to hit the quarterback anymore. You're not allowed to hit the wide receivers. They're coming across the middle. They've really wussed up sports. I think they've done more harm than good. I know that the intention was always to protect the quarterback or the receiver or the driver. I get that, but we all know that when we signed up to play football, it was a dangerous sport. I would surely hope that any driver out there, whether it be NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, any drag racing, that there's a high risk, and we accept that as athletes. You have to accept risk, and there's no way for them to go in there and make everything so freaking safe that nobody's ever going to get hurt. That's impossible.
Mhm.
NASCAR for me, since we're on racing, um, the Intimidator,
Mhm.
Dale Earnhardt, and then after I was there, I watched the crash. I watched him die. Then his son Junior. I was a huge fan of him and watched him for many years. NASCAR was something that I could enjoy, on Saturday or Sunday, and watch him drive 400 or 500 miles. And like I said, watch a lot of the drama. I'd usually start off with watching the race start, and then I would fall asleep on the couch
Right.
and wake up right for the very end. The last 40 laps. That's what you watch.
Yep.
You watch the last 40 laps, and I started learning all the tracks and all the different track conditions and the points. So there's a lot of education there too with all sports, and learning the rules. I think it's important for you to learn the sport as much as you possibly can, so so that you understand it. Hockey has always been a hard one for me to really understand the rules of hockey. I basically, when I went to hockey to see guys get in fights, get smashed up against the wall, and drink beer. That's why I
Right.
went to
There's a lot of
hockey.
that going on.
So I have a bucket list of seeing a NASCAR race before I die. I haven't ever seen one. I've been to an NFL football game, and that was a lot of fun. I'd like it to make it to an NBA game, and watch an NBA game before I die. But I think you've hit such a huge nerve for America with this conversation, Carrie, that um, we are all connected to sports in one way or another. I finished my high school career. I had a great high school career in football. I finished in 1992, um, state champions. So we played the state football game, won the state football game. I had two touchdowns, 185 yards receiving, two sacks, and I was the MVP of the game. um,
Wow.
and went
Wow.
on to have colleges looking at me to play college football. So that was the highlight of my life. That's something that I carry with me and will to the day I die. I've got the medals that they gave me in football. We've got the trophy down here at the local high school that has my name on it. Um, that's something that you're just attached to for the rest of your life. And then you pass that on to your children and your son, and you sit down on Sundays and you watch the NFL. I went to college at Boise State University and graduated in 2002, and had a chance to walk on at Boise State, which is my regret. I wish I would have walked on and tried out for the team, but I didn't. And I went all those years when Boise State was the blue field and everybody was afraid of them, and they had some of the greatest games out there, some of the top 10 best games in American college football history. When they beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl, it was amazing, and we were in the bar watching it on the television, and everybody was screaming, and the drama down to the very last moment when they did the Statue of Liberty, and Ian Johnson ran into the end zone for the touchdown. You know, those are just memories that a lot of us will just never forget, and in our final days before we die, those will be things that will trigger us, and things that will take us back to those moments in time. So sports have a very important part in all of our lives, whether you're a man or a woman. Like you said, you have a tie to IndyCar racing with your father. A lot of women have ties to racing. I've seen where there are women racers out there, and they do it with their dad, and that's just so amazing that the dad is so involved with their daughter, and they build them a car, and they drag race, or they oval track race, or whatever it is. That is part of America. And unfortunately, including myself, a lot of us have just decided to not fight for it. And I think it's high time, that we do stand up and we do fight for this. And a lot of people say, well, in this fight to get America back, what can I do? Well, I don't know. Are you into sports? Is that a passion of yours? Is that somewhere that maybe you can put your energy and your resources into? I don't know what the game plan is. This is the first conversation we've ever had about this. This is really an awakening for me tonight to be able to share my passion with sports and share my emotions with sports. And sports is a very emotional thing. Like I said, it's like any good drama on television. You get drawn in to certain players and to the emotion of the game. And I think we've got away from a lot of that in the last few years.
It's the spirit of competition, and it's a good thing. And Americans have always had it, and some sort of foreign influences have come in here and decided that they're going to control it and dominate it and disseminate it, and they're going to own it and tell us what to do with it. But it's ours. We don't need to be told what to do, and we don't have to live without it. There's no reason why we have to live without anything that we want. We're Americans. We just go back and take it back, right? We say, no, thank you. I particularly will have my IndyCar sports without any nonsense. I don't want to hear any leftist nonsense in my IndyCar. So what the game plan is, who knows? But we just start today. And thank you again for letting me come on your program and talk to your audience. We start today just by saying, hey, there's a problem. And I didn't know that this bothered me so much, but now I'm going to say something about it.
It starts with a conversation. It starts with us having these conversations and start talking about how it has affected us. And if enough people have these conversations at the coffee shop or the cafe or in the living room with family and friends in the backyard of barbecue, we start actually talking about our feelings and how it affected us having to give up our sports. I think it'll spark the interest in enough patriots out there to say, you know what? You're right. I've had enough of not having my football, or I've had enough of not having my NASCAR, or whatever it is that we've all given up, and it's time to take it back. And, one thing that I think, I'm shocked that it hasn't happened yet, but the one thing that I think athletes of all different sports can relate to is they need their fan base. And I think a lot of them do listen to their fan base. And I think if enough of their fan base starts, speaking out, speaking up, and saying we're not happy with what's happening to our sports, people like and I hate to say this because I'm a Packers fan, but Aaron Rodgers has been one that kind of stood against the status quo when it comes to the vaccines. I think guys like that need to hear that we support them, and I think guys like that will it'll ignite a fire under them to say, you know what, these guys are right and they're supporting me, and I need to be out here doing the right thing. And I think more athletes, when they hear their fan base start really telling them how they feel about this stuff, I think maybe that they'll kind of maybe get in line and say, you know what, you guys are right. We need to get back to why we're playing sports in the first place. It wasn't about the money. It was about the love of the sport. When I played When I played in the neighborhood, I didn't play for money. I didn't play to win a championship. I played because I love the sport.
Mhm.
It's
I'm
what we
so
need to get
proud
back
of,
to.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to interrupt this emotional moment because it's going to really speak to people. Um, I think you hit it right there on the head, is that there are a lot of people who they didn't grow up to get to that position in sports without having put all those hours in at the streetlights, right? They played with their friends. They dreamt of the day they'd have fans. And I think you're right. I didn't really think of it that way. The sports fans, we have a lot more power, and we can reach out to these guys and gals and say, look, we love to watch you and we're so excited, but you got to cut it out. They probably don't want, a lot of them don't want to do it either.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of pressure because if the fans don't show up and complain about it, then and everyone's going along with it, well, why rock the boat, right? But I'm so proud of you for like this emotion that you're given this topic is they call you Liberty Warrior, dude. You're like, you're giving us a warrior stance on this, and I love it. But it's very serious as well because Americans are hurting, and we don't deserve to hurt, and we don't need to hurt anymore. And losing what represents America to us is sports. It's not a little thing. It's a humongous thing. It's huge.
Yeah.
So America First Sports.
I appreciate the fact that you reached out to me and brought this to my attention. Like I said, this is something that unfortunately it's just been overlooked. Maybe there are people out there covering it. I don't know. I really haven't followed anybody who has because I've been so consumed with politics and saving America that I forgot what it was like to be an American. So I'm grateful that, that we had this conversation tonight. And I know that there's people out there that feel the same way I do. They've lost something and it's time to get it back. So as we roll into final thought here, I always like to give my guests the final thought. How can people find you on Twitter? Because I follow you on Twitter. How can people find you in some of your work, some of your journalism? Since we're talking about sports tonight, how do they find you in the articles that you're writing about IndyCar? And how about this, Kari? Just a thought that came to my mind. What if there are athletes out there, whether they're high school, college, professional, or maybe families that share a love for sports? What if they wanted to tell you their story? How could they
Yeah.
reach out to you?
Oh, I would love to hear their stories, by the way. So on Getter and Twitter, I am at Sayrosa 1776, which is SAORSA 1776. And I would love to hear anyone's story. They can send me a direct message on either one of those platforms. Also, my email address is, I'll give you out my email address, which is my name, KariDonovan 101 at gmail.com. Send me an email. But the platforms that I'm writing for, PatriotSportsNow.com is love of sports. There's not going to be a lot of politics there, but I am going to drag in America First. They know that I'm doing it. They're not stopping me, which is awesome. That's where I'm maybe covering IndyCar. They cover football and other sports. Hopefully, I'm going to get into some boxing over there as well. Yeah, right. I love
UFC.
it all.
I'm a big USC fan.
All right. See, we get some stuff. I mean, I want to be like fighting and racing and fighting. And so republicbrief.com and frontlineamerica.com, nationalfile.com. I have some articles over at gatewaypundit.com. Let's see, what else? Who else? You can, I write a couple of other sites and they're on my social medias, but I would love to hear stories from people. And I love interviewing individual fans, athletes, like you said, it's all good. And my final thoughts would just be, I'm just like so thankful to have this conversation with you right now. I think it's going to be very impactful to other people. And so bravo to you.
Well, thank you, Kari. Here's my final thought. It's time to wake up, folks. It's time for us to really fight hard to take back what was taken from us. And sports happens to be one of them. And it's going to take each and every one of us to get involved to do that. Spread this message. Like I said, start having these hard conversations. I really did not realize how emotionally attached that I was to sports. And it's just something that, you know, when you go through a trauma, you kind of just black things out. You don't think about it anymore. To me, sports was that trauma for me. It just got so ugly that I just chose to black it out, not even think about it anymore, not even talk about it anymore. So thanks for bringing that to the table today, Kari. Listen, folks, another great show tonight. Please check Kari out on all of her social platforms. We're going to have her back here real soon. We'll do some sports talks here because I think it's important to really highlight some of the stuff that's going on. So God bless each and every one of you. You guys have a great evening, and we will catch you on the next one. Introducing MyPillow 2.0. All new MyPillow 2.0 fabric with temperature regulating technology. Sounds absolutely amazing. If you call in today or go to mypillow.com and use promo code LWN, it is buy one, get one free today. MyPillow 2.0. Don't go to bed without it.
Hoping for a sincere performance, but open to finding the moment, to finding out where I'm headed now. Looking for a sign of disaster, so I can make it there faster. I'm weighing the consequences out. I can see in all directions. It's all open to interpretation. But I see colors that are breaking from the other side, the other side. When I make mountains out of summer trails, when I how you can blend in with the crowd. I'm so scared, so damn afraid to look. I'm so sick of talking. I'm wearing the words out, words out. Interpretation. to get me. I see the river on the back of